Anxiety lies in the former part or the parts within us. You're looking at how old were you when that part experienced that? Is that the first time you felt the severe anxiety? Okay. What do you think about that part of you then, your inner child who is 8 and anxious all the time? Oh, I hate them. I really, really hate them. But actually, the outcome of therapy should be is befriending that part of yourself, getting to know it, knowing that those emotions kind of come over us like a wave, but they're not our core identity. They're going to go away again.
Hi, everybody. We're here with Nancy and Fanny from Retreats for You. And thank you very much for joining us. This is going to be a casual conversation around EMDR, yoga, Ayurveda, and holistic healing. And so maybe we can start off. Nancy, if you could give a little bit of background as to what you do professionally and where you came from and how we got to where we are now.
Yes, my name is Nancy. I'm the director of Retreats for You. I have been a psychotherapist now for 28 years. I'm practicing both in America and the UK and now Spain. With the retreats, I came to kind of working in this mode of holistic healing with the mind and body, knowing how important it is to involve body sensations and what happens in the body, not just with the mind, through my training in EMDR, which is the eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's basically how I describe it to clients is basically what happens in our REM sleep is reprogramming the brain. So kind of going between the left and right hemisphere as we do when we're sleeping in rapid eye movement sleep is to kind of reset, reprogram. The clients tell me that it's magic and they don't know how it's happened, and I don't either. There are lots of studies and research happening all around the world, especially the research I follow is from the Netherlands, and it shows you kind of brain imagery from before having EMDR and after, showing major brain changes. We know that when you're awake and you're going through the bilateral stimulation following, we use our fingers to kind of go like that, moving the eyes back and forth, or you can have tapping, similar to kind of EFT with the tapping or the butterfly hug, depending on whatever the client needs. Clients don't have to actually tell me all their details when I'm seeing them for EMDR.
So like childhood stories don't really matter as much?
Yeah, exactly. They can just maybe say, blue room, I was 10 years old. There you go. And then we go with that. And the changes happen, within the brain and within their body. We can also use affect-informed EMDR, where you're just focusing on the body area. So say they feel all their trauma in their stomach or their shoulders or their neck. And a lot of people also have where they can't kind of have a voice or they're stuck in their voice. They've lost their voice when they were young or during a traumatic event. We treat everything from phobias, even OCD, complex PTSD, sexual abuse, domestic violence. I see a lot of Marines in the work I do from the United Kingdom. So we deal with a lot of war trauma. And I came into EMDR about 5 years ago, and I would say it's the thing that's really changed my practice. I've been working intensively with the EMDR for about a year now, where I see clients for an intensive period alone in the office or remotely, and they're having that twice a day or kind of for 2 days, and that I'm seeing a lot of success with. So they can get people coming to me saying, I don't want to spend every week coming to you for the next, so many months. I just want to come to you for this length of time. I want it sorted. I want to see results. And that's
so I've heard about EMDR and I haven't experienced it. Basically, it's different techniques to engage eye movement while you're reliving a traumatic experience in order to sort of rewrite or fully process the traumatic experience so you can let go of it. Is that fundamentally what it's all about?
That happens, but also clients will say, in fact, everyone says, I'm just detached from it. It's blurry. I'm not distressed by having the memory. So the memory doesn't necessarily go. It's just the distress levels change from, like, if you have a 10 out of 10, it can go down to 0. And I'm not even distressed by it. I can talk about the memory. I can talk about it like I'm talking about taking the car for, some servicing. So it doesn't distress them.
What was the linkage to REM sleep again? Is it the eye movement? Like
Eye movement. So
it mimics kind of REM sleep.
So I kind of call it REM sleep during the day. Like you're getting the same kind of effect of having rapid eye movements, but it's just during the day.
And why is REM sleep effective as a therapeutic tool? Like what is it about REM sleep that helps process traumatic events or things that are stuck in the psyche?
So what happens with this complex PTSD or just PTSD in general, or even phobias or people getting stuck on their compulsions or whatever they're going through. I've even seen it work with chronic fatigue and with other, especially with people who have ASD and then they have some other stressors or anxiety. It can work for all of so many things, so many disorders, but it gets stuck in your amygdala. So, in the back of the brain. And this is unprocessed. It's kind of like those old phonographic records where the same song keeps playing over and over. So that it gets stuck on a loop. So it's looping, looping. Right.
The memory of the experience.
Exactly. And they can't get out of it and they feel stuck. And so it doesn't go through the hippocampus and then through the hippocampus into the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere where the mainframe computer is your right hemisphere, and it doesn't get processed. You might have gone to the grocery store today, you might have picked up some milk and some bread, and then you got home and you thought, oh, do you know what? We wanted some cheese with the bread. I forgot all about the cheese. And so then when you're asleep tonight, you're kind of dreaming about cheese and bread because you're still thinking about processing
Unresolved.
that situation in the day. But for trauma victims, it's stuck in the amygdala. It can't get out of the repeated loop record. Can't get out.
That is the amygdala, the part of the brain that's like the reptilian fight or flight part. So it's constantly triggering a sense of insecurity and a sense that something is awry.
Yeah, I'm not good enough. I could be better. I'm in danger. I'm unsafe. I'm vulnerable. I'm not. I'm just scared. I'm not okay.
That's the job of the amygdala, is to keep you safe and have you like react to
We need that.
immediate threats, kind of, and not chronic, but acute threats. And it's not meant to be constantly processing over a long period of time chronically. So when it gets stuck there, it starts affecting how you see the world and affecting how you make decisions and how you respond to situations that would be otherwise like a 2 on an intensity scale will become like an 8 or a 9 for you.
And I have clients that say, I just don't want any more anxiety ever again. I don't want to ever have that. I go, well, that isn't
okay.
really helpful either. So we do need some level of anxiety, because if you're crossing the street and you have no anxiety, you don't care if a car is coming, you're just going to be hit by the car. We need some bits of fight or flight. We need to know
there's a purpose to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like folks that are like absolute nihilists when it comes into spiritual realms around like overcoming the ego or destroying the ego. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. The ego exists for a reason. We don't want to be ruled by it. You don't want the ego to be your master, but it can be a tool. It could be your friend. So I'm same thing with anxiety. It's maybe I can tell, I get anxiety from time to time, and I can tell if someone's been experiencing anxiety chronically for a number of years. They just want that relief. They just want to be done with it, and they want whatever it takes to get it out, get rid of it. Maybe part of it is acknowledging the role of anxiety too, and how it can be a friend and an indicator.
Sometimes the anxiety lies in the former part or the parts within us. So from an internal family systems therapy standpoint, which I also use in the EMDR, like intertwined, is that you're looking at how old were you when that part experienced that? Is that the first time you felt the severe anxiety? Okay, so you were 8 years old. This was happening at home. Okay, so you felt this anxiety. And what do you think about that part of you then, your inner child who is 8 and anxious all the time? Oh, I hate them. I really, really hate them. I just wish they'd
You hate the 8-year-old. They say they hate the 8-year-old version of themselves.
Their 8-year-old self.
Themselves, yeah.
But actually, what the outcome of therapy should be is befriending that part of yourself, getting to know it, knowing that those emotions kind of come over us like a wave, but they're not our core identity. They're going to go away again. And we just have to learn how to sit with some of that distress, because anxiety is one of the human emotions that we do have.
So with some of these EMDR techniques, you're using the eye movement in order to bring that experience from the amygdala up and process it through the hippocampus
Through the
during
hemisphere,
the,
the right and
is
left
that sort of
hemisphere.
the, what was that?
Through to the left and right hemisphere.
And what does that do? It lets you fully experience it in a way that's manageable now, as opposed to maybe in the moment when that traumatic experience happened, your full brain wasn't able to process that. And so it gets stuck. And so if you are able to process it fully, it sort of releases in a way, and it reduces the level of intensity.
I will say, and I say this to every client first, that there's 8 phases of EMDR. The first 3 phases are kind of establishing your safe place, your resourcing, having a resource team, like a nurturer, a protector, and a wisdom person. Or it could be like a Native American symbol or an oak tree, whatever's going to hold you during the sessions that are looking at the targeted memories, and that it will get worse before it gets better. So I do kind of disclaim that to patients that there's going to be a time during these sessions where it's really tough, that you are going to feel you need a lot of support. So
it's like going into the basement that you haven't been in 20 years. And you're like, holy, look at all these cobwebs in here. This is, I thought I had a clean house, but I never looked in the basement. So you got to kind of turn on the lights before you can get it cleaned out.
Exactly.
Part of the process, I think.
Exactly. Great.
But that's why you need that support system around you, so that you're not going through it alone.
And that's what Retreats for You will be doing, because we're going to have not only us as psychotherapists and psychologists, but we have a team like Fanny. We have the team of the Ayurvedic specialists. We have our excursion leads, people that are going to be around here in the in-between times. So
these retreats that you're doing is the center of it EMDR therapy, and then you've got these support experiences around to kind of enhance the experience and to support you through the healing process.
But I also think that the Ayurvedic medicine and the Ayurvedic nutrition and the meals that they will be getting is going to be very integral around providing them the right base for their body and their systems. For the polyvagal system to be working correctly, it has to be kind of working between the body and mind. And the Ayurvedic food and the Ayurvedic herbs will be helping with that journey. They will have that assessment of their Ayurvedic needs and their healthcare needs before they come to the venue. And they will also have...
So it helps prepare the nervous system to process these experiences more effectively.
And to go away with a new way of living and a new way of, if they want to continue that Ayurvedic diet and the recipes they learn, and they learn how to cook them here, then that will all work really well.
So tell me a little bit about Ayurveda. I mean, some people will be listening to this and they have different experience levels and the knowledge of what Ayurveda is. Can we do a briefing on that? Brief introduction to Ayurveda? Okay, so we're talking about Ayurveda and how that helps. What is Ayurveda and how does that help support the EMDR healing process?
Now, I'm not an Ayurvedic specialist, but my understanding is that it's an ancient, very ancient Indian medicine. It's from India, and it's been around for over 3,000 years. And it's used to treat every healthcare need you have. So if you have cancer, if you have a cold, anything, it can help treat that. And they still do that in India.
We were talking about Ayurveda and what is Ayurveda and the role that it can play in helping the healing process as a supplement to EMDR. So Fanny, you were explaining a little bit about Ayurveda, about the doshas.
Yeah.
Can you explain that again?
In Ayurveda, you have 3 dosha, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And
what does that mean, dosha? Is that like a general makeup, a general sort of
based
energy?
on the element. So one is fire, the other one is water, and the other one is air, and then one is a mix with earth as well. So you have the element, and then your body type and your characteristic that you have based. Either you're more in water, more in earth, more in fire, and then depending on that, you need to have food that is adjusting to your dosha. So for instance,
balance it out.
Yeah, if you're more water, you're not gonna eat salad because the salad is full of water. You will eat more something that is earth or fire, so it counterbalance your body.
Okay.
And
How do you find out what your dosha is? Is there a test that you
You
do,
have a
or
health
is there?
assessment by a practitioner.
Yeah, so we have two persons that are going to do the test assessment to check your dosha, your characteristic, and things like this, and determine, because you can be between two as well. And then depending on the two, you need to adjust your food and the drinks that you're gonna have, and things that is made in a way that is the most effective for your body to process. But you also have tests online.
And are you recommending that people begin the dietary changes or the nutritional changes before coming to the retreat so that they have a balancing, or is it during the retreat you're gonna
It's during the
adjust the
retreat.
diets?
I think it's better
So you
during...
customize people's meal plans according to their dosha.
Yeah. Because even if you
Wow.
do the test online, it's online, and sometimes you tend to say one thing and then it can be in the middle of the two. But as a specialist, you can see and make the difference, like when the person hesitates to reply or things like this, that maybe tend more on that side than on the other side. And at the end, you can have a better assessment on what you actually need.
I haven't heard of that happening too often, where people get customized meal plans according to their dosha to balance them out. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is really Indian culture. It's also based with the yoga and the energy and those things. When you do yoga retreat in India, you always get an assessment of your dosha and on the Ayurvedic diet that you're supposed to have. And that helps you more effectively as well on the yoga, connecting more with your body, being more centered, and like digesting things quicker, and then be more getting more energy out of your body than having food that is draining your energy.
And then, Nancy, to tie that back into the EMDR process, once you have a balanced physical body, I guess that opens up the nervous system to be able to process these experiences better.
That is correct.
Is that the idea?
But I think just to add on to the Ayurvedic a little bit more, is I've taken Ayurvedic medicine now for 1.5 years for my own menopause, and it has changed. It's balanced me out. I'm a pitta dosha. Usually that's kind of where I sit, and I know the foods that I can and cannot eat. I also take the herbs 3 times a day that are prescribed by the Ayurvedic practitioner that will help balance my whole system. And so when you are balanced and you feel like you can be present and mindful, because you know that when you have GI issues or you have, stomach upset or IBS or you have something going on, you're trying to be present in the moment in therapy. It's a lot harder to be present when other things are going on with your body and mind.
How has it impacted the menopause process? Do you feel like it's less intensity on the hot flashes, or what?
I have no more hot flashes. I have lots of energy. For instance,
no more hot flashes.
No.
Wow.
No, and it wasn't till Sophie is one of our practitioners, and she's my practitioner, and I entrusted my health with her. Is that yes? I mean, I really fully, wholeheartedly believe in Ayurvedic medicine.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I interrupted you. What were some of the other changes that you saw?
So energy levels are through the roof. I can stay up longer. I don't get tired. I'm getting better sleep. I can walk or run for 13 kilometers and it doesn't even faze me. I'm 56 years old. So yeah, I'm very happy with the results so far.
Wow, incredible.
I think it's most important for our retreat clients, though, to have that pre-assessment and to have all that before they get here so that they're ready to kind of go into their nutritional program and know they'll be cooking with Sophie and Gemma, learning the rest.
They'll be involved in the retreat participants are involved in the preparation of the food so that they can take it back with them, take the knowledge back.
They'll be leaving with a recipe book, for a whole weekly recipes of what's going to help them back at home. And not only that, they'll be having pre-assessments with the EMDR as well. So there's a lot of pre-work and then the post-follow-up work. We'll offer sessions when they get home. We can offer them joint sessions with their therapist. If they have a therapist back in their home country or city, we can also liaise with them to help with the reintegration into their communities.
I never considered the Ayurvedic impact on hormonal impact on a human body. I mean, now that I think about it, it makes sense that diet would impact hormones, hormone levels. But I never viewed it through the lens of Ayurveda and how Ayurveda can be a framework for helping to balance out hormonal imbalances in any stage of life. That's really interesting.
Well, I think you're in North America, Amir, and I mean, me
We
and
just take
Fanny live in the
pills.
kind of European kind of part of the world, and it's strange because Sophie will say that where I was from in Seattle, they use mostly Chinese medicine, and I was having Chinese medicine when I lived in Seattle. But this part of the world, we tend to use the Indian medicines. But our two Ayurvedic practitioners, one of them, they were both trained in India, and Gemma now works at a retreat in Sri Lanka, where they have doctors there who only practice Ayurvedic medicine. They don't use any westernized medicine. And people come to these healers, and they're actually medical doctors, and there is cancer being treated and results are positive.
Wow, incredible. We never mentioned what part of the world you're in when we were recording. So where are you guys based?
We are in Spain right now.
Spain. So Ayurveda is quite popular in Spain as one of the traditional holistic healing methodologies.
Yes.
And in
We see
England,
Ayurveda in
and
North America in certain pockets of kind of New Age spiritual culture as well. But yeah, you're right. I think like the Chinese medicine, traditional medicines are much more prevalent from what I've seen. Super interesting. Okay, so Fanny, you're also the Reiki and yoga specialist, right? So you have some knowledge on the Ayurveda, but there's going to be an actual Ayurvedic specialist on the retreat. Tell us a little bit about your background and yoga and Reiki and how you're contributing to the retreat experience.
So I'm a Hatha yoga teacher since 3 years, Reiki practitioner as well for 3 years, and I also have a degree on neuro-emotional integration therapy. So I consider myself as a holistic coach. Really embrace like the mind, the body, the soul, the breathing. I learned Ayurveda when I was doing my yoga class, my yoga training teacher, with Indian people as well. But yeah, what I'm contributing is more like getting back to your body, reconnecting with your body, using the breathing, the body, and then making sure you remove the blockage that you can have energetically. Learn to challenge yourself in a way where you can do everything just with your breathing, everything that is coming in your life, something is happening, just learn how to breathe, how to accept the emotion that's coming through, and then also tips about managing the level of emotion versus the rational that sometimes we say, oh yeah, it's not that bad, but you get emotionally triggered and then the emotion is over the roof. That's where you get anxiety and things like this, and how you can, with yoga or with energy healing or with breathing, regulate this.
Yeah, amazing. I can imagine if we're doing a therapeutic retreat with the intention of processing life's challenges or traumas or past experiences, some potentially challenging memories can show up and traumas can be relived. And so it's nice to, number one, have the EMDR that reduces the intensity of those experiences by processing it in the hippocampus. Number two, having the Ayurveda, which helps balance out the body's ability to process in the nervous system and the hormonal regulation so that you can process these experiences. And then the yoga aspect too, and the Reiki energy side, which helps you to be balanced on a physical level and regulate the nervous system through breath and energy work so that these things that are now less intense can actually like flow through your body and not get stuck, I think is the word people use, is like, so it's not stuck anymore.
Not create blockage in you, blockage of emotion or things like that, and just like creating space with the breathing, and then how to visualize like the place that is blocked, and then creating the space even with the pose of yoga, and then let the emotion flow. And an emotion is only there for 8 or 9 seconds, but usually we tend to hold on it, and then it can stay for months.
Yeah, I hold on to anger for days. If something bothers me, I'm holding on for days at a time.
Yeah.
I wake up the next day, like still, I don't even remember what the situation was. I know I'm angry. I don't know what it's about. So Nancy, you guys have been running these retreats for a while now, and
we're just starting off. We have a good team. So we have a team of psychologists, psychotherapists. We have Fanny, who is when I met Fanny, I have to say, like, she just really can feel your energy and she'll know exactly what's going on for you. I very rarely meet people like her. So it's quite special to have her on the team, and having Sophie and Gemma are Vedic therapists. We also have actually a team of a couple university students who are going to help also with excursions. I should mention that the retreats are going to include, so after they're integrated, fully integrated and healed and balanced, they get to experience, excursions. So they could include, they have a catamaran company that I'm going to be using that is going to be taking them snorkeling, scuba diving out in the beautiful Mar Menor and out into the ocean here off the coast of Spain, which is 10 minutes down the road. And they'll be in the beautiful blue, crystal clear waters, seeing the beautiful fish, having a great time and having meals on the boat. And we can take them for an evening meal in the local tapas restaurant and experience some local foods and have a day off of the therapy and all the intense, serious stuff while they're.
There's nothing like being in water, at least for me. I think if I were to guess, I think I would be more the fire dosha. I have to confirm it with a specialist, but there's nothing like being in and around and inside of water to help me just soothe everything. And being able to like jump into some nice clear blue waters after a healing process is so refreshing.
Yeah.
And so needed.
Feels
And
like
then you put great food on top of it,
Yeah.
and it's so nice. So if these are new, what inspired you? Because Nancy, you were saying that you have years of psychotherapy experience, but what inspired you to bring all of your experience together and this team of specialists to create retreats now? Why evolve your psychotherapy practice into the retreat space?
I guess it stemmed back from my childhood and growing up with an auntie who had schizophrenia and dissociative identity disorder, and seeing all the many types of therapies and things that my whole family, my grandfather and my dad, tried to do to make her better. And so I thought from when I was 5 or 6 that I want to do something in the world that helps those people that just have this stuckness, this blockage from connecting with others, from being alive in the world and just present, really, and just here to enjoy it. So I think after I got my master's degree and started practicing in Seattle and Denver, I decided, how am I going to get to that where I can help people heal in the shortest amount of time? And I'm not one of those psychotherapists that keep people on the books for years.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Like time's up.
Like
see you next
every week. Like,
yeah.
And I have worked towards now where I can with some clients get to where they can have 7 to 10 sessions and we're done. So for me, it's about the people, want to live their lives. They don't want to be in therapy for 1 to 2 years. They want to, and people just need to feel better so they can be with their families, their children, their partners. They can go on holidays. They can live life and connect. And so I think if we can do that in a quicker, faster, more therapeutic and holding space way, then why not? And it is the wave of the future. EMDR intensives are the wave of the future.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to bring that up. So it is, there will be rest and relaxation. Some retreats are focused on rest and relaxation. This seems to be more of an intensive where you do like a therapy intensive that's combined with a beautiful environment and the support of a retreat team that's there to hold you, and also the learnings of the food and the body learnings of the yoga. And so there's those aspects of a kind of a mainstream retreat, but then we have the psychotherapy intensive component too, which probably saves you like 6 months of therapy in one weekend.
Yeah, at least. And I would reckon that with some therapists, it's up to a year, So I think what's really interesting is the Ayurvedic and EMDR with the yoga component, because you don't see that in other EMDR intensives. This is special for our retreats. And I also think it's very important that when clients come together in the retreat, that they can develop connections between themselves. They will be having time in between treatments or yoga or therapy where they can come together and reflect and integrate towards connection.
Yeah. It really has a holistic approach of the whole body, mind, soul, breathing, eating.
We like eating.
Yeah.
You started off the conversation describing a few of the types of, what is the word? Not diagnosis, but a few of the types of scenarios where people come to your therapy practice. Who would this retreat be best positioned for? What kinds of symptoms do you think people will be presenting with, or what kinds of conditions do you think would be best served with this retreat?
And I have to say that at first we'd have to have the initial, consultation with the potential clients that we would have to kind of have that initial free consultation to kind of see if they would be a right fit for not only the other clients, but also their potential for change, if that's going to work. So I think for me, it's around complex PTSD, you have anxieties, phobias, road traffic accidents, one-off kind of traumas that happen, lots of different. I currently treat a lot of people with comorbid autism, Asperger's, ADHD is big on my client caseload, and I'm not shy around that at all. I have ADHD myself, and so I find it lovely to meet other people struggling with that neurodiversity in their lives and how they integrate that with their trauma. I think things that we could not work with at the time is active substance misuse, where there's an addiction. So somebody would have to have dealt with their addiction before coming to the retreat and be at a stable enough level to kind of engage in serious, intensive EMDR therapy. Other
and
things,
be in group process too, and
like
be able to engage in group processes.
Probably, and some access to personality disorders might find the intensity and the too difficult, but it's all based on a one-to-one. It's not ruling them out altogether. We'd have to have a full consultation.
So there are one-on-one therapy sessions also. It's not all group sessions.
No, it's not group sessions at all. So what we'd be doing is having the psychologist or psychotherapist. They would be attached to normally one person throughout the retreat. And that would be an hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the afternoon. We're talking 3 hours of intensive EMDR therapy in the day. It's a lot. And then, so it's intensive for a reason that within that 7 days, we want to have significant outcomes for the client.
Yeah, I love this purpose-driven retreat concept, that we're really here to drive change, to drive transformation, and invest in, a lot of people kind of throw the word invest around when they don't like to use, sales terminology like price and cost and all that. But this feels really like an investment. If you think about the time and money you're saving from trying to do this piecemeal over a number of weeks and months and years in little pieces of therapy, you come in, you get a focused intensive, and maybe not 100% is gone. You still need to do follow-up sessions and to support this new you, but at least you make a huge progress in a short period of time. And when you compare that to other options of holidays people have when taking time off from their life and work, like, what are you going to go sit on a resort with a pina colada in your hand? Like, go do something where you actually make progress and you get to be, I don't really like change terminology is kind of funny. You're becoming more of who you are. You're becoming more of yourself and not like some other idealized version of yourself, because we're not trying to put another cloak on top of you and like become another fake version of yourself. You're trying to remove layers so you can be more authentic.
More in the authentic you.
Yeah. I always see that like an onion, and then you have to remove what is the layer on the top to be able to connect with more the inner child that you have in you, and then being more aware of like, why does my little me is crying about, or what is the emotion coming through, or things like this. But you need to remove the layer that you have been pulling out all these years to make sure you cover and protect yourself.
And when you're removing those layers of the onion, sometimes it's nice to have safety goggles so you don't get the...
Well, you're going to cry anyway.
Crying is part of the process. You got to accept
You can
it.
use that in your dosha into the nutritious food, the tears. They're kind of, they're helping. Or...
If you're cutting onions, you're going to cry anyway. So if you remove the layers, you're going to cry as well.
Yeah. You mentioned Spain and being close to the ocean. Tell me a little bit about the location of the retreats and your venues. I think before the call, Nancy, you were mentioned to me previously about kind of a special location. So where is this going to be happening?
This will be happening in a kind of rural location. It's a Spanish community. So it's an actual agricultural-based Spanish community in the Costa Calida, Mar Menor region of Spain, between the cities of Murcia and Cartagena.
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly?
Cartagena, sí.
Cartagena. She's much better at the Spanish than me.
Cartagena?
Cartagena.
Cartagena.
Yeah, it's a hard one. But these are historical cities, and what you have in Cartagena is a beautiful Roman amphitheater, a beautiful architecture. You have there where the Christians and the Muslims came together thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Didn't they? It was such a beautiful...
Yeah. So Murcia region is really at the beginning of Andalusia. And then that's where you get you start to get into the old African empire and things like this. And it's really historical, and they really have roots about a lot of things. And the historical that is behind is really rich.
Nice.
And I guess I would say there's beautiful promenades along the beaches. And the beaches, there's so many beaches. And there's surfing beaches, there's regular beaches, the Mar Menor.
People have access to the beach. Will they have time to go? And you mentioned excursions as well. So it's not all insulated into the venue. You're going to be going out and having experiences and coming back.
After the day, if we, in the evenings, especially in the summer months, May and September retreats, and even into October retreats, we would be able to take them. There's a place called Cal Blanque Beach, Cal Blanque National Park, and it's just beautiful and it's unspoiled. Hardly anybody knows about it. I don't think many people know about it. And it's very much untouched, isn't it? So we'd be going hiking there. We would take them to different places to try out tapas in the evenings, or just have a little bit of a reflection time and time to go out and look over the water.
But it's also a really good region where you can easily connect with nature. You have the sea, and you have the mountain, and you have this whole landscape, and you really feel like it helps you to ground. I have this feeling like it really brings you back to earth.
Beautiful. So I'm imagining the structure of this, because you're saying that people are doing one-on-one therapy with their assigned therapist. And so I imagine everybody off and doing their one-on-one therapy, and then coming together at meal times, and taking a breath and taking a respite, doing reflection, and maybe ooh, what did you go through? I can imagine people at the table, looking over, what is the other person's condition? You look like you're going through hell. Going back into therapy in the afternoon session, and then coming back for dinner, or maybe having an excursion. So it's this sort of individual process, but you're not doing it alone. You're doing it in an environment where you can still socialize, see other people going through their healing process, and maybe share some experiences and grow together.
But if they want to just chill out on the roof terrace and not go on the excursion, if they just want to read a book from the library, or they have a book that they brought, or they want to do some journaling about what they've encountered in their therapy session, then it's flexible. It doesn't have to be set in stone. They have those choices for them.
So it is a bit of a personal retreat, not solo retreat. Solo retreat terminology we use whenever the person just goes, I'm going to go by myself into the woods and da-da-da. So this is kind of a personal retreat, but you've got multiple people doing their own personal retreats at the same time, where you can have a very individualized experience, and you're not constantly in this kind of group format, which is quite common in retreats, is to have a lot of group experiences, group processes, group sharing. And so this feels like it's personal retreat with a lot of support around you.
It is personal, but I think it's also good to have, in those intensive moments, to have people that you can share if you want, and connect and feel like you belong. It's not you alone crazy. When you do sometimes therapy by yourself, you think it's only you that have a struggle of something. and then you don't per se share it with others because for whatever reason, the ego is coming in and things coming in your head. But when you're in this kind of retreat and intense one, I think it's also good that if you can share your experience, you will see that you're not alone and you can really belong to something that belong also to the change, to the new you, and then see other changing and then like get the move and the energy from the other group as well, from the other people.
I find when I share, I'm a pretty open and outgoing person, so I enjoy sharing about myself and my process and having people like learn from it or support me in it. And I often find that when I observe other people sharing, it's a healing process for me too, because I get to see that, hey, I'm not the only crazy one here. And it gives me permission to go into places that I may have resisted until I see that other person going through it. So I think there's a huge value in that kind of sharing process. And not just sharing with your therapist, but sharing with people that could be on your peer level. So you see the permission structure.
Yeah. When I used to do the group therapy in Seattle, I remember we always used to have this we had like a weekend retreat type situation. And you'd have the nightly talking stick, where you all have a talking stick and you pass it around. I mean, I can see something like that developing amongst this kind of group, is that you're going to have that time at night to like reflect on that day that's just happened. And to, either you might want to give some information, share some information, or you just want to sit in silence and listen to others who are talking.
Yeah. And sometimes you just...
Okay, so quick question. Last question is, what is an experience that you saw that was really fulfilling for you, a transformational experience one of your clients has had? Obviously, protecting client confidentiality, but what's transformational experience that is indicative of something that could occur at this retreat and that was particularly fulfilling to you, that you kind of think about from time to time and it makes you feel good and like, oh, this is all worth it?
So many I'm trying to think. Did you want to go first?
Well, I can go first.
Okay.
I have one came in my mind. I had a 35. I really had like issue about like self-confidence and then was not feeling great in her couple, and then she was not connecting with her values and she was not connecting with work values either. And then we started with yoga. Well, I always kind of feel like depending on the people and how they express themselves, if they need more like connecting with their body first, more talking, more depending on what they need, I adjust. And she was more focused on like she needed to reconnect to her body, to her, because she felt like she was really disconnected with the world and with herself. And we started with yoga, which was really helping to bring her back to, this is where I feel the heaviness on my shoulders, on my legs, on my back, and then like little by little, like using the breathing and then creating space. But then after that, like seeing where with the energy, where do you feel it in your body? How do you experience it? How do you let it go? How do you create space? What is the emotion behind that you're like blocking? And then sometimes you don't per se need to know what is the emotion, but it's just an emotion. Because we tend to put words which makes it heavier, like, oh, I feel sad. And then right away it becomes negative, where it's just like, sadness is amazing. Go cry, like free yourself. But if you just say, I have an emotion, it goes easier. You don't put the good or the bad, the negative or the positive. You just see.
And when you label it, it puts like a mental structure on something that's a felt experience, and it like imposes unnecessary structure sometimes on physical experiences.
Yeah. And then I think in a month and a half, things could change like really rapidly. And how she approached things, how she used to view things, which was more neutral, which was more like, okay, I just can breathe. Okay, I feel it in my shoulders. Okay, right now, where do I feel it? In my belly. Okay. Then I just breathe it there and then create space. Like those small tips that can help you on day-to-day things can really change your life. And then later on, it was more like, what is your core value? What do you really want to do? What do you really want to go? And then like balancing that, like, does work is really what you're going through or not? And then I think in 6 months, she really changed her whole life around. And in the whole energy, it attracted like way more things that she could never imagine that it will come. But just by
And how did that make you
changing
feel when you saw that transformation? How was that for you?
For me, I feel like everybody should go through this. I feel like I feel really proud and really happy for people that can really step into their own body, connecting with themselves, and then start to shine. You know, like this glow that people say, oh, you're glowing, is not even like something you can describe. It's something like it's a feeling. It's the energy that is around you. It's the way you start to see yourself, the way you start to see the world, is really embracing the whole new world that you never imagined that could be possible.
I love her passion.
Thank you. It's a soft passion.
Yeah.
It's a soft passion. I don't know which dosha it is. It's a gentle passion.
I'm cuffed.
Nancy, how about you? What's a transformational experience when your clients had?
All my clients, but this one particular person comes to mind, and they're pretty recent. And so when you never know what you're going to get when you're going into kind of phase 4 of EMDR and going into the memories. For this particular person, he's male, he's in his 30s, and he came to me presenting with war trauma, so from the military. And so that was like what he thought, oh, we're going to work on that. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And we always, in the training that I've had over the years, you float back to where does that take you? Where does that feeling of being in the military, all the trauma there, where does that take you? What kind of emotion? Where's the first time you felt that? We went all the way back to a time where his parents were having trouble, but then his dad died tragically, and he was a young boy. I won't give the age because I don't want to. I'm sure he'll be watching this at some point. So he, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing because he's a very open person, but he would want people to know that the change he says that happened is magical and that he doesn't understand how it happened. But when I'm with him in the session, he was basically that age as a young boy again. I can't explain. I wasn't looking at him being in his 30s. I was seeing a boy in front of me, in terms of the felt emotion. And like he just said, I am, like when we were there a minute ago, I was that age. Like, I don't know how you did that. Like, what was that? No idea. And so when I was working with him, I'm speaking to the child. I'm not even speaking to the 30-something-year-old adult. So when we're doing what we call cognitive interweaves or different ways of initiating movement through the memory, I literally was with a child. I can't, and because he's healed, he's recovered. He has no words. You have no words when you get to that, because that is just such primitive, guttural body sensations that have happened, that have changed, that there are no words sometimes in the human any language for that transformation.
That's incredible. And going and being able to be in that childlike state again enables you to process those stuck experiences through your now adult body and adult nervous system that has more capacity to process those experiences. So that can be super healing.
Tearing up thinking about them. It's just it's a beautiful thing. I mean, and to me, it's like having the privilege to be with somebody that has that experience it's a lot. That's a lot to have.
Makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Makes it worth all the work and all the study and all the
we're very blessed.
Administrative paperwork and everything that has to go along.
Yeah, I used to work in the NHS, so I know the National Health Service in England. So I've been there. I've done all the paperwork. But to be blessed, we're blessed people, blessed healers, to have the privilege to be with people that trust us, to be with their stories.
That's beautiful.
And open their heart.
Well, Nancy, Fanny, thank you so much for taking your time to explain your practice with us and explain the vision for this retreat. I hope that people watching this resonate with what you're saying, who feel like they can get a transformational experience and get freedom from the traumas that they've had and have been perhaps working on for months and years. There's an opportunity here for you to work with Nancy and Fanny and their team to have an intensive EMDR deep dive over a number of days in a beautiful coastal rural village of Spain, countryside. And I can't wait to hear the testimonials coming out of the other side of this. So I I really look forward to sharing this with our audience and to hearing the good news on the other side of it. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
and
very
sharing
much.
and showing up here.